I'm ready.
Okay, cool. Checking levels here. Levels. Hello.
Well, without coughing, here are my levels. Levels.
Whatever.
You must have gone live. Everything just got quiet.
Yep, that's the way we do it.
At least we're consistent.
It's our pre-show tradition.
Yes.
Make sure you know what you're geeking out about this week.
Is he okay? Oh. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Yes.
I can't filter that. I think I'm ready whenever you guys are.
I'm ready. I'm going to have
Ready.
to play around with the mute button, but I'm ready.
All right. What's up, Internet? You're listening to the Making Geeks podcast, a podcast for makers, families, and geeks. What's up, guys? It's been a couple weeks.
What's up?
Yeah, long time no see.
Strangers?
Yep. Between getting sick, going on vacation, and just general exhaustion, yeah, that's kind of why all of you have not heard from us for a couple weeks. But I think we needed that extra time to recover, and I think we're back and ready to do another show.
Full force.
Full force. So, you guys doing? What you been up to in our 3 weeks off, other than the couple of things that I kind of alluded to, mentioned, whatever.
Besides feeling like I'm dying and everything hurts. Yes.
I'm the one of the three, knock on wood, that hasn't gotten COVID yet. So I was just on vacation. So while I was on vacation, you guys were dying. So that sounds like a good trade.
Well, what's really funny is that you actually went towards the COVID in a lot of ways.
I know. Oh yeah. If I don't end up with it after this past trip, then I don't know what's going on.
Or maybe you just have that magic immune system. We
I
all
guess.
need need to start donating blood or something.
Yeah. We went to Universal Studios in Florida and Islands of Adventure. Took the kids down there to do all the Harry Potter stuff. And Catherine and I hadn't been there since 2002. We actually spent our honeymoon there. We stayed at the Hard Rock Hotel back in the day. So this time we stayed at the Portofino Bay Hotel, which was pretty nice. We had never been there before. And it was like on site, you get like the express passes for the rides and all that stuff. Most of the rides were functional. Some of them were not, which was kind of annoying. The train that went between the parks was not working, which was one of the things we were looking forward to doing, the Hogwarts Express. So that was a bummer. And like the signs are complete BS that they had in the theme park. They're like, it's temporary maintenance. And we look online, it's like, it's been closed for like a week and a half, expected like at least another week. They ordered some part that they didn't have, or something broke. Who knows what it was. But yeah, so that was a bummer. A couple others, little attractions we were looking forward to didn't work. But overall, it was really fun. Grant rode the Velocicoaster, which has like 20 to 30 seconds of airtime in your seat, I think they say. Like cumulative throughout the ride. So like there's like tons of like twists and like things where it feels like you're gonna get slung out. Like if there was no restraint, you would fly out like someone tossing a ball, or like a crazy I'm not good at sports references, so just pretend it was something good. um, it had like lots of inversions and twisting, and there's like barrel rolls, and it was really cool. And he loved it. He wanted to do that many times. It was quite smooth and pretty good. And I think it's barely been open, not even a year, I guess. So pretty nice. Then we rode the Hulk ride, which Samantha loved. She didn't like the Velocicoaster one for some reason. The Hulk one's over 20 years old, and it felt like it. The thing was rough. My head was hurting within like 30 seconds of that thing starting.
So I'm trying to remember, is the Hulk one where you like start in the tube and he's like, go, 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 and it shoots you up and you directly go into an arc and around and then to the...
so. I don't remember doing that.
No?
No.
Might have changed since I wrote it last.
They may have changed it. Who's to say? But we did the Hagrid's ride, which is like
on the motorcycle roller.
Yeah.
Okay.
Best theme park ride I've ever been on.
That's when I got kicked off at Universal here.
Oh, really? Because of your leg?
Because of my leg, yeah.
I saw signs for that. I saw signs about having prosthetics and not being able to ride certain things.
Why would that affect anything?
But I also saw that you could like hand it off or like see like a assistant maybe. And they also have like a storage locker, so maybe you could just throw it in a storage locker.
Well, for the one here, I don't think it's exactly the same. Maybe that's why. But I get to do that on the Forbidden Journey one.
Yeah.
I get a special entrance. And I leave my leg like on the side, and because your legs are dangling on that one, they're afraid it's gonna fall off or, you know.
It was remarkably smooth, and there was no inversions, which I used to rank as being like a critical part of a coaster. Having a good score in my mind was going upside down, but that's not really like the end all be all for me anymore. Like smoothness has usurped that like ranking structure. Like if it's smooth, you get like bonus points for me, and then like extra cool things add on to that, like theming and things that younger me wouldn't have cared as much about. But it was really cool. It was really neat, especially like the upper half of your body. There's no restraints or anything, so it feels like you're really riding, and like it's very exhilarating. There's several moments in the ride where you get several like acceleration points, like down straightaways and stuff. So it feels like you're revving up and like hauling butt and like Grant's in the sidecar and stuff. I was quite impressed. I was bummed we only got to ride it once, but it was a lot of fun. Then what else have I been up to? Been dinking around on my little snow globe project. I got the base done with the little sign, which I'll hold up for the viewers at home, which I'll probably end up dropping, but
the progress on that has been phenomenal to watch.
It looks great.
The camera is horrible for this mode. Anyways, that's not going to work. So just imagine it's really nice. I've got most of the figures all placed out and everything on the structure, and I've been working on the circuit board lately. Today, which I'm trying to use the Glowforge as part of the process. Where you?
Yeah, how did that turn out? Because you posted the video for that. Was it today or yesterday that you?
Yeah, it was a test yesterday. Yeah.
Showed the process of etching the circuit board using your Glowforge, right?
Yeah, and I forgot that this process is temperature dependent. A lot of it. So basically, I don't know if you're familiar with this process. You basically spray paint. There's lots of different ways to do it, but the way that I've done it before, you spray paint the copper PCB. So a PCB has one side that's copper, the other side is like normal fiberglass, I guess. The copper side, you spray paint black, or you can like color it with Sharpie or something that is like impermeable on the surface. You can even use like
so that it just absorbs all of the.
It basically it like coats the copper so none of it's exposed.
Oh,
so
okay.
anything can coat it. You can even do like a clear coat or something, but with spray paint, it's easier to see where it is and where it isn't. So you spray paint the whole thing. You design the circuit board. You could draw it in Photoshop if you wanted to, or Illustrator. And then you basically invert the graphics so that wherever it lasers, whatever's black on the image, that's what's obviously going to get laser. The paint's going to get lasered away, and it's going to expose copper. And everything that's covered by existing paint still is where your traces are going to be. So basically, after you laser it, you throw it in this acid bath, and it eats away any place that the copper is exposed. So it leaves behind all the spots that have paint still on them, which are all your circuit traces. So it's like a backwards to what you were thinking.
Okay. Okay, yeah.
And so it works best if you heat the solution slightly. You can use room temperature, but it takes longer. But if you heat it, it's even more accelerated.
Heat the acid bath?
Yeah, which I don't have like a heat plater. I don't really mess with that part because it's sort of sketchy. So I was just going to do it outside. It was like 25 degrees outside. And I was like, well, it's probably just going to take longer. It probably would have taken like hours upon hours, where normally it takes like 30 minutes. Because it was, I don't know where that sliding scale was of how long, it's too long. So it was in there for a long time, and it didn't do that much. And it didn't come out as clean as I wanted. And I might revisit this more for like an in-depth review of that process once I get it nailed down. But I just want to get this project done. And so I've got it mostly done. Like I had like a lot of like labeling and stuff of the different components, and that came through really well. But the longer it sat in that bath, it wasn't a very good result.
Have you tested it to see if it at least works?
I tested it with a multimeter to make sure no areas are shorting out, which it seems like it'll work. As far as the logic of the design of it, I haven't put the components in to test it yet, but it should work. But we'll see. Like I have 2 breadboards worth of components that I try to like reorganize in the design software to make a circuit board. And there's always room for error in that process because you're having to like make sure all the pins are in the right spot, and then also because of the way that I had to do the board, you have to flip everything because you're soldering. It's confusing to describe through audio podcast. Basically, you're soldering the underside, which has the labeling, when normally the labeling's on the top side on a circuit board, so you can like see where the component top sides are. But this way, you have to like push the leads through, so you see like the leads coming out, but you don't see what the component is. It's sort of backwards because of the way the DIY one is. But anyways, that's not a very good explanation of what I'm doing. But I would like to be done with this before WorkbenchCon. I would like to bring it and show off. I think I definitely can do that. I was hoping to get it done by the end of this month, but traveling and other things.
4 weeks.
I got 4 weeks. Let's just say that. Yeah. We got some other things we got to nail down quicker than 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we do. Most of the work is done. I will say that. Not being too cryptic about what Wes and I are talking about, I'm putting together an ARG for those that are coming to WorkbenchCon.
We are putting together.
Yeah, that's what I said, didn't I? Oh, sorry. We're putting together an ARG for. I misspoke. Yeah, no, that's what I meant. We're putting together an ARG for WorkbenchCon to give people attending WorkbenchCon an opportunity to go on a little adventure treasure hunt. And it's been really fun putting it together. I'm stuck on 2 places. Other than that, the rest of the work is done. Not the rest of the work. There's still a lot of work that needs to be done. But it's been so cool to like work together on something like that. So if you're coming to WorkbenchCon, you have something to look forward to. I hope. Yeah. I'm gonna say yeah. It's gonna be awesome. I know it will be.
One thing that I haven't told you about, I'll just drop a little nugget of knowledge here. So there's some components of this ARG that require web space and web functionality to operate. And so I created a subdomain on my website to test this stuff on. And everything was working perfectly fine. And I like the view that I was using on my website is like the entire like file structure and folders of the entire website. Like my main site and the subdomains and stuff like that. I must have drugged something incorrectly while moving things around, and my entire website is gone.
Oh no!
Yep.
Oh no! So if people go to geeksmithing.com,
yes, it doesn't work. Except the subdomain that I made for you, that works.
Oh my gosh! I broke your website inadvertently.
I mean, I definitely did it, and I remember like I didn't know exactly what I did at the time. I remember the thought going through my mind, like, "Oh, that was weird. What happened? I don't know." And I didn't like look any more into it. And apparently, I must have accidentally click and drug something at the wrong time. And I had backups, but they were like incompatible WordPress versions. I haven't done a current backup in a while. I thought automatic backup was turned on. make sure your automatic backup is turned on. This is a public service reminder. It's okay. I felt kind of nauseated when I first realized this because it's my website, but I haven't redone it in a long time. It doesn't.
And
It's
now
not
you have an
horrible.
excuse.
I now have an excuse to get it done before Workbench Con, so no pressure.
See, I think it's a perfect opportunity to pitch Squarespace to be a sponsor
Yeah,
because of things like this.
sure. Let's do it.
Let me tell you a story. I had a website, and I was working on a project. My friend broke it, and now I need a new website.
So yeah, that's fun. So don't go to my website. Go to all my social media at the end, except the website. But yeah, what are you up to, Sean? Hopefully you haven't broke anything.
Probably, but nothing comes to mind at the moment. I put out a video recently, which is finally doing the video and the build for the All Queens chess. The object itself came out really good. I'm really happy with it. The video, I don't like it at all. I did it just because I know it needed to be done. I wanted it done before Workbench Con. I don't really expect much out of the performance, but I realized during the course of it, other than having trouble with the speaking parts just because my voice had not completely recovered at that time, I kind of felt like I forgot how to have fun in the videos and what that was like. And I think I need to try to recapture that in my next video. And I think, unfortunately, that comes through when you watch the video as well. I think my voice is a little bit flat. A lot of the fun stuff that I usually try to do just isn't there. It was a weird mental hurdle for that one, but.
So are you? Is there an option to like take it down, re-edit, and try again, or are you just like it's done, it's over, I'm walking away, moving on to the next thing?
I think I'm just gonna move on to the next one, and part of it too is that a lot of times when I do a video, I'm kind of waiting for something that gets me excited about it or some sort of approach that I think is going to make it fun, and almost nothing. I was halfway through the process and I started looking at the video and I started going, why am I doing this again? Why am I even doing this as a project? It failed to hold any like importance at that point. Probably because it had been so long that I've been talking about it and planning it.
Yeah.
That too much time had actually passed.
Then
The excitement.
a year?
Yeah.
It might be up to like about a year now, and at the point that doing it felt like just checking something off of a list. It didn't feel like here is a product of entertainment that I want to share with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think I'm just going to keep moving forward, because looking back at that one and redoing it, as much as that is a possibility, especially because it only has like 150 views right now, I don't even know how to improve on it. Although watching your video, Donovan, gave me a lot of ideas of just trying to get the energy up, but I think I'm still going to try to translate that into the next video.
What is your next project, if you don't mind me asking? Because this is the one you wanted to get done before Workbench Con, and now it's done, right?
Yeah. I mean, part of it was like the obligation to just want to get it done. So right now it's between two different videos. One is just redoing a rocking chair that I've been talking about for a while, which again, I have some ideas how to make it fun, but it's still, I don't know. I want to film it just because it's a project, and furniture restoration things tend to do pretty well. One of my highest viewed videos is redoing a chair from years ago. But then I also have a obligation for a sponsored video that I need to get started with too. Although I just talked to my rep and told him that I'd have the video done first week of April, so I give myself a little bit of a longer timeline.
Is this Elegoo or the?
No, I'm doing a video for Evolution Tools. The
That's
saws.
right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I got a track saw. I got a track saw from them. I'll be using that to finally make cabinets in my garage that I've been wanting for a very, very long time. So custom cabinets that'll serve a very, very specific function for the side of the garage that's for all the maker stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm designing that right now and trying to figure out how to get full sheets of plywood to my house, because I don't have a car that will hold full sheets of plywood. That's
do the places? I mean, do you buy your stuff at like Lowe's or Home Depot where they can like pre-cut it for you to?
The thing is that I don't want it pre-cut.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
No, because I might be using full sheets of plywood like for siding, I'm gonna do kind of like a 2x4 construction on the interior, kind of like a ladder construction. I don't know if that's what it's called. And then skin it with almost like a wainscoting. So I need full sheets for that because it'll be almost floor to ceiling in my garage.
So is this something you're like pre-designing in Fusion and then?
Yeah, I've been doing most of the design in Fusion just to get like a visual for it and get some like rough dimensions, and yeah, we'll go forward from there.
That's super cool. That'll be exciting to watch.
Well, I just got to get to it first. It's like everything else. So how about you, Donovan?
Well, like you, I put out a video recently. I did a Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening inspired book nook, which was really fun. I have this problem where I'm not always impressed by the end result of my labors, because there's not often where something turns out the way I had it in my head. This one, it turned out how I hoped it would turn out. It was super fun. It looks super cool on our bookshelves. If you haven't seen the video yet, and you've played Link's Awakening, there's a part in Link's Awakening where you go into a library, and you can read books in the library, and there's a certain book that's stuck on the top shelf, and you need to get the Pegasus boots to run into the bookshelf to knock get you distracted. But I took that scene from Link's Awakening and made a little book nook. And the last thing I printed on my 3D printer before it died was a little Link figure. And I got these tiny little books from Michael's that are apparently super popular. Everybody knows about the tiny books. And so my kids and I put this little book nook together. And I so terribly did the electronics for the lighting in it. It looks awful, but it's hidden behind the faceplate of the book nook, so you don't have to see it, which is very good. You just reach in there and you flip on a little light switch, and there's little LEDs inside the book nook that lights it up, and it looks so cool. I am so happy with how it turned out. And the video itself, I tried to have fun with as best I could. I had been watching Ocean's 11 and a series of unfortunate events, so like Barry Sonnenfeld style stuff, and I think that bled over a little bit into my video. And so I just tried to have fun with it, with the pacing, with the tone, with the energy of it. And that said, it is my best performing video, not in terms of like views. I have not I've tried so hard to like push this video out. So it doesn't have very many views, just a few hundred, but the views it is getting, I have a 70% retention rate throughout almost all of the video up until the last like 30 seconds or so. And that has cool. Never happened on any one of my videos. And it is, it's cool. It's nice. It's nice that the project turned out better than I thought it would. It's nice that the video turned out better than I thought it would. It's nice that the metrics are better than I thought it would. So I'm really happy with all of it. If I could just get more views, I think it would perform equally as well. And I've been trying to delve into the subreddits of Reddit to see, where and how I can share this, this little book nook. And moving on to my next project. So it's been busy. It's been fun though. I've been having fun now that I'm not feeling like I'm dying and everything hurts.
Hopefully you get right on the coattails of Nerdforge with her book nook.
Yeah, well, it's kind of fun. Like speaking of Nerdforge. So one of the things that I did when I was putting together like the thumbnail and the metadata and all this kind of stuff for this video is I went in and I copied her thumbnail for the book nook with the lettering, with the spacing, with the lighting, with the little arrow. Like I made it look like she made it look she's got like 3 or 4 book nook videos that all had that same kind of format. And I tried to copy that format. I went in and I scrubbed the metadata for all of her book nook videos to find out what tags she used in each of them. I've
done that before in other people's videos. I know.
I tried to copy as best I could the little things that she did behind the scenes for her video and transpose those over into my video. I don't have purple hair, and I'm not very attractive, and so I'm sure that has a factor in all of this. But everything else I tried to do, as far as like the technical aspect of it, I tried to match as best I could to her stuff specifically, just to see if it would help.
I have a small feeling that some of that stuff isn't nearly as important as it used to be, because the algorithm is deciding so many things on different things that of course we're not able to see all those things. So I don't know if that's like a theater part of making us think that we have a little bit more action that we could take to make our videos better. But the more and more I look at that stuff in the tags, I still do it, and I'll probably continue to do it. But the more I look at it, the more I'm thinking, I don't think this does a damn thing.
Yeah, a sense of feeling like control when it really does nothing.
Yeah, but of course I'm going to keep doing it, because
it's like pushing the elevator button over and over again, trying to get it to go faster.
The pedestrian walk signal button, yeah.
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 Yeah, but that said, it's been fun. It really has been. It also doesn't help the fact that the majority of my current subscriber audience is very Ninjago centric. And so anytime I put out a new video, I have a mass of people unsubscribe from the channel once they watch that video. And so it just kill. I'm sure the algorithm or whatever that's going into this sees, okay, hey, we pushed your video out to this person and they unsubscribe from your channel. And so it doesn't then take that video and push it out to somebody else. And so I'm sure that my own audience is hurting the performance of my video, but I can't control that. So
it's such a weird act to unsubscribe, because the content isn't the theme that you want, as opposed to, oh, this person did something horrific, I don't want to support them anymore.
I know.
It's such a weird action. I've unsubscribed from channels, but very, very few over the course of time. But I don't know, maybe it's a youth type thing of like they're then thinking like, yeah, you're not making what I want you to make. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah. But it's funny, like I've gotten a lot more patrons now than I used to, which is, I'm like, where are these people coming from?
I can't seem to grow an audience for anything for Patreon, so I'm happy for you.
There's more I wish I could do with Patreon to make it feel like the people that do support me are getting their money's worth, so to speak. Because right now what I do for Patreon is that all of the files that I create and use for my projects, I upload to Patreon. So, and I only have one tier, which is $5 a month. Now, Patreon has this thing where you can pledge whatever amount you want. And so half of the people that follow me on Patreon only do like $1, but the ones that do the $5 a month tier like get access to all my files and everything like that. And so it's I feel like that's enough for $5 a month, but still I wish I could have a more robust Patreon. Like when Geeks Craft or something like that, where they're very active and have a lot that they do, and I feel like I don't know how to do it, or I just don't feel like I have the time to do.
I would guess a combination of both.
Yeah,
it's almost another part-time job.
I know.
To really build that, that's why I have one patron.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah. So yeah. So what are we talking tonight? I can't even talk. What are we talking about tonight, guys?
I thought we would maybe do some Book of Boba Fett mid to late season SpoilerCast. Talk about what we think about it so far, what our thoughts are up into episode 5. What did I say?
Episode 5?
Yeah. Episode 5, and what we hope the future holds for that and other things. So if you have not seen Boba Fett, you might not want to listen, because we're going to talk about a lot of stuff.
So here's your spoiler warning now. Get ready for a very interesting discussion about another Star Wars based show.
Yep.
Like Wes said, if you have not watched or seen it yet, you might want to skip the next 20 minutes or so and pop back in towards the end of the episode, or wait until you catch up with, at this point, it'll be episode 5 that we'll be talking through, and then come back and listen once you've caught up, and you can kind of nod your head in agreement with all of us, because I can already predict what some of us are going to say.
Yep.
So if you guys don't mind, I'm going to start out a little bit.
Yeah.
So Book of Boba Fett, the Star Wars show that nobody wanted. At least that's what I think, especially after, the way he was introduced to the Mandalorian, I think was okay for the most part, but this is definitely not the same Boba Fett that we thought the character would evolve into. Maybe that's just too much time in the bacta tank. I don't really know, but it is a strange series. It is strange. I try to kind of like moderate myself a little bit more when I'm being critical of a creative project, because I'm not a Hollywood writer. I've worked in the field. I've worked around a lot of this stuff. It is extremely difficult to get anything on the screen, but it is really hard to come to grips with that this is the script they ended up with. And some of the creative choices. I mean, usually the effects and like set design of those things are some of the best things in a lot of series. And I always complain about the writing, but some of the costume choices and some of the set pieces and the culture that they're building up is just really odd and strange. It kind of feels like Kathleen Kennedy got her hands all over this again, and it's supposed to be mainly Jon Favreau and whoever else, or Dave Filoni. I don't know if he has anything to do with this series.
Well, Jon Favreau has written all of the episodes.
Yeah.
So
and
all
it's
of them have
so
been
weird.
rich.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
He's a
really good writer.
I mean, he is a good writer, but I don't know what the hell
How can
happened.
it be so? Yeah. So my issue.
Go ahead, Wes.
My issue so far is like you're talking like how the episodes have been so inconsistently written that it makes it surprising that it's the same source person like generating this stuff, because like the tone is like, for me it's hard to nail down the tone of like what it's supposed to be going for, because like half the time it's like prequel era campiness, and
I
like
think it's worse than that.
Right?
like they have
works.
like farting and burping CG characters in the foreground and background that make me remember like the little woodchuck or whatever it is in the 4th Indiana Jones movie, after he like walks out of the fridge and like there's like a gopher or something in the foreground laughing.
Yeah.
Like that ruined the entire movie for me, for one thing. But they basically took that sort of logic and they just applied it to these like CG characters, which look really bad. The oh god, my brain is melting because of the rage.
I was trying to hold it back. Go for it.
Oh man, like so they introduced more Hut characters. They look completely awful. They look beyond horrible. Like the level of CG, like it's
Star Wars, the special edition.
Yes, it looks like the special edition version
that didn't
of
even bother me that much.
Jabba, like the one where like Luke's or Han steps on his tail and he's like, "Oh, bro!" Like it looks exactly like
Eyes
that.
bulge out.
Yeah, the awesome looking Wookiee looks super menacing. I'm like, I can't wait for scenes with him. He looks super cool. We get the first scene with him. He is a complete joke. Like these teenagers, which is a whole other thing. Like these cyborg, I call them like the Biff speeder bike hover. Like they're like the hoverboard gang that Biff has in Back to the Future 2. They take those. They're all misfits and like miscreants and like street urchins, and they basically extracted them and inserted them into this show. And like their mode of transportation doesn't match, like both visually, which they can't not be doing that on purpose. Like practically, there's no way that they would exist and like survive on this harsh environment that Tatooine is, where nothing stays brand new. So it means they just unpacked it, like from intergalactic FedEx or whatever, and they have to be expensive. They look expensive, even though they're the slowest vehicle ever created on Star Wars. There have so many problems with that whole cyberpunk group. So like they're supposed to be street urchins. That's what they sort of presented in a way. Like they're like huddling together around like a fiery trash can or whatnot.
It almost felt like anachronistic. Like,
yeah,
let's take the scene from Brooklyn in the 80s and put it on Tatooine.
So are they poor? Because they're stealing water. So you assume that they're supposed to be poor. But then they say later on that their mods that they have on their bodies are expensive and they're proud of them and they paid for them. And they also have these expensive machines or vehicles that are clearly brand new. So if they're not poor, why are they stealing water? And if they aren't poor, they must have like super rich parents that are like some sort of water barons or something, or like spice, like mafia or something. It makes no sense.
Speaking of spice,
yeah,
they brought spice into it.
They did. Like all the world building stuff, I absolutely love. Like all the stuff where they do deep dives into characters or creatures that we've only had like a sprinkling of in the main canon stuff so far. Like, you know,
I think the entire first series should have just been that.
Yeah.
It should have just been that. Yeah. And build out that entire thing.
The Rancor stuff, I love that. That was great. Yeah. But that was the very, I don't know. It's like the canon building lore stuff I love, which is slower. So a lot of people don't like it because it's slow. I don't really have a problem with that as long as it fits and it like within my expectation of what it's presenting me with, and if it makes sense, like narratively, in a narrative sense. Like I don't really even get his like motivations to like explain what he's doing. Like so, like we all assume that the Sarlacc pit was like this extremely hard thing to get out of. It was super easy. It was barely an inconvenience for him to get out of there. All right.
Well, it made it seem that way, but a significant amount of time has passed since he actually got out, though, right?
We don't know for sure. Like it's just saying that he was. I don't know. It doesn't really say.
I mean, you're right. They actually should have done a better time in kind of translating that this was not like next day he crawled out. That maybe this is a process that took a very long time.
It could have been years that he woke up, right? Because it's like they show him coming to. It's not like he's like sitting there like, drinking a cup of tea.
Well, it's like in the other stormtroopers that fell into the Starlight Pit hadn't dissolved yet, even though they weren't wearing Beskar. So
they should have.
There's
had
so many
some
inconsistencies.
Sort of time.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
The fact that he crawled out of the Sarlacc pit with Beskar on and then went back to the Sarlacc pit to try and find.
Or better yet,
he forgot where he.
Maybe the better tone for the entire series should have been like Old Man Boba Fett.
That's fine.
Like just Old Man Logan, just Old Man Boba Fett.
That's cool.
Yeah, I'm serious because that's what he feels anyways.
Yeah, he still has the dad bod, so it's supposed to be like taking place within a short period of time.
Than I am, so I can't judge him too much.
Well, his armor didn't fit as well as it's supposed to. Anyways,
that's true.
Like
it's so funny because
Disney budget, they get some trainers on him for something.
Yeah. He's getting more and more ripped as he, gets into those, the bantha tanks. But it was so funny because, like, in The Mandalorian, his entrance was
awesome.
his like entrance back into the canon of Star Wars was fantastic. Yep. And this
it doesn't seem like the same character.
No. Yeah, it's like a complete divergent path from like when he walks back on stage to now. And I think the hard part is the fact that it's like, I don't know what it's like you were saying, Sean, I don't know what it's trying to be, because it's half Sand People lore building. It's half Godfather. Why?
Yeah.
It's half. Yeah. And it's funny because episode 5 doesn't have Boba Fett in it.
And it's the best episode.
It's the best episode.
I wonder if they got like halfway through the production and went, oh crap, this isn't working.
Let's take the premiere for Mandalorian Season 3 and inject it into this show. That's what it is.
And I think part of that, like Bryce Dallas Howard directed episode 5.
Yeah.
They didn't. because David Rodriguez and the two other guys whose
did-
names
he
I
did
can't
the
Robert
first-
Rodriguez.
First and the third one. Yeah.
Robert Rodriguez, yes. Yeah. So they did like they did in The Mandalorian, had like guest directors that come in. And the great thing about The Mandalorian is that even though the tone was different from episode to episode, like everything's still tied in together. And Boba Fett, like it just seems so disjointed.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, on one hand, at one point I thought maybe they didn't have the full budget for this, and things are just not the quality they should be. But then I'm thinking about it, saying, wait, the stuff they're doing isn't cheap. The new design, the new vehicles,
the
new
void
characters,
or whatever, the Unreal space.
Yeah, I mean it's not cheap, and it's one of the few instances where I think if they would have recycled more of what had already been established, it would have been better. I don't think we need. The Star Wars universe has already been so fleshed out. We've already seen so much on screen. I don't think we need a whole lot of new species, new location. Well, new locations would be okay.
New locations would probably be preferable.
Yeah, anything besides Tatooine.
New culture is kind of weird. Enough has been established. I like that they have a lot of people still in like makeup and costume, even though it looks kind of weird sometimes. I can still kind of appreciate it. You know, the thing that bugs me almost out of anything, and I mentioned this on The Mandalorian too a little bit, the weird alien creatures speaking English. It just feels so weird. Like, why is this guy talking with, like a Southern accent?
Right.
Just, and I don't know if it's too arduous to try to come up with like another alien sounded language that they have to write a full canon around.
Yeah.
But it would feel better. I think that would make it feel more authentic.
Grounded, yeah.
In a lot of ways.
The blue alien that Horatio Sands played in The Mandalorian.
Yeah, that started it.
Yeah. I'm like, what is this guy? He doesn't seem like he fits here. Like, it was sort of too, like you were saying, it's too perfect of a human accent for him to look the way, I guess that's racist or speciesist.
It's appropriating our culture.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Yeah, how can you have the tone that we've had for the first 4 episodes, and then you have the episode 5, which I want to talk about more about right now.
Yeah, we're keeping on the back burner. We're bearing the lead.
We are. How can you have the tone from the first 4 written episodes from the same guy, and then go to the 5th episode and have it so much better? It's like he's doing like getting somebody to ghostwrite for him or something. I
think Sean was right. The fact that it's like they realized this isn't working, and so they jump ship.
Yeah, but it's the same writer though. It's not like they say, "Hey, buddy, like you've never written a Star Wars episode before. We need you to tighten it up here and tighten up the graphics in level 3 or what." It's just like I'm like, no, he's a showrunner.
Tighten up the graphics.
The solution to this should have been really easy, and I think that the groundwork for some of this was initially established in Force Awakens. Remember when we have our first introduction to Han and Chewie in Force Awakens, and he starts talking about all these different gangs that he owes money to? The entire series for Book of Boba Fett should have been about the gangs of Tatooine, like strictly about the gangs of Tatooine, and how he's coming in to be the mob boss to rule them all.
They're sort of doing that, but they're doing it in a really weird way.
Right, but it's so disjointed. I'm saying that should have been the focus from day one. Yeah. And him being a bounty hunter and looking at that kind of culture would have been, I think, 10 times better. And maybe not even have it on Tatooine. Maybe have done it on Coruscant or somewhere else. Right. But then, And
they were trying to do this, like, overplayed, like, 2 different... It's like, it reminds me of Arrow, where they had 2 timelines. That they're doing a backstory timeline and a modern timeline, and they're like, you're like waiting for them to converge, and then they finally do after only 4 episodes. That didn't take very long. You could see where it was going, and it was just, it didn't do anything for me. Like the stuff with the
payoff wasn't there.
Yeah, the Sand People stuff. Okay, I get that. That's cool, and like you were trying to become part of their culture, and we as fans are learning more about the culture that were so weird and like mysterious and just like the other people. Like I like to being able to see that sort of thing, like the deep dive into that. But then,
and out of all that, the only thing people are going to remember is like a bantha.
Right. And then you like snort lizards to get high and like learn how to create a gaffy stick or something.
Weirdest vision quest ever.
Yeah, it was just okay. But I don't know. It's just and the train robbery sequence was weird, and I'm wondering if they try to use that void system that they used for Mandalorian for the speeder chase in a way that it wasn't really best suited for. Like, is that why it looks so slow and like so not impressive and so comical?
I think part of it is because you're in the middle of the desert and there's not enough reference for speed.
No, but they were in the desert. They were in the town, like, and the guy was running into every like fruit stand on tap.
Oh, yeah,
in
okay.
Mos Eisley or whatever
Talk about
it was.
that. Okay.
Yeah. So I jumped from the train thing to that. The train one was fine.
Horrible sequence.
That sequence is awful. So he's like, he's like driving super slow like a grandma, and they're chasing him in like these little moped.
I was watching and thinking, what is going on? What am I watching?
I know. Me too.
Just so out of place.
Like, I was like, did I switch channels accidentally? Like, what's happening? And so then he gets to the end of that chase sequence that was building up. The snarky assistant or whatever to the mayor gets caught. And then what is the repercussion of him doing that? Nothing. They cut away from that. We don't know, like, did he get thrown into a brig? Is he, like, shown an example of to make Boba Fett look even more, like, menacing and like showing respect for Boba Fett, like he said he want to have shown to him? He's going to rule a different way, even though there's no respect here. Every time he interacts with somebody that is an established like group on this planet that has been there, they look at him like they don't know who he is, and he's like, I am Boba Fett. Like, he says it in a way where he's expecting them to react, and they don't react. They don't, like, he's supposed to be a feared bounty hunter that had, like, the disintegration, like, even Vader knew that he would, like, have a proclivity, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
To sure. disintegrating people.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, hey, don't do that. You're such an awesome, like, fighter. You're so ruthless. Don't do this. We need them alive. Oh, man, if Vader is, like, pump your brakes to a character, that character must be awesome, right? And then he gets dispatched by Han spinning too fast, like where he's blind and he can't see what he's doing, like an Inspector Gadget kind of scene or something. I don't know. And the guy flies off. Like, he's the most... Boba Fett is a side tangent. I think he's the most overrated character in like all of cinema, personally. I've never really cared for him that much because he never did anything.
The mystery and the intrigue, I think, sold a lot of it, which I think is perfectly fine.
That's fine, but
yeah,
I don't know.
You know, on a side note, I would love to give Jon Favreau the benefit of the doubt and say that this was not his vision and that he got Kathleen Kennedy'd or something, and that somebody from higher up put their stamp on this a little bit more and changed things. Because it in my mind, it does not match from what the amazing work he's done before to this. It feels like somebody else interfered.
And episode 5, which we should talk about.
Yeah, and I think we're about that point. Unless Donovan wants to chime in a little bit more.
Well, no, because episode 5 feels like a Jon Favreau film.
Yeah, it feels like back to form.
Yeah, and episode 1 through 4 do not.
Let me ask you from a production standpoint kind of thing. So like, if you have the same writer, let's assume it is the same writer because it's credited as such. Does the director have so much of a influence on what is written on the page to have the tone like shift so drastically? And like, it's not only just the tone that's bad, it's like actual characters they've introduced that don't make any sense. The director doesn't have any say in a lot of that stuff, right? Unless he's like the writer. I would assume the writer is like the Bible they're basing the story on. He's more controlling how characters project that information out, right? And like I don't know.
From a production standpoint, it's everything is done in editing. Like, you can have 3 films worth of material shot, but the story is told in editing. So it's all about who edited it and who was over their shoulder while they were editing it.
That's fair.
Most of the time.
That's exactly what happened on The Last Jedi, too.
Yeah.
And
Rogue One.
Rise of Skywalker.
In Rogue One, yeah. The reshoots where it looks, all the trailer sequences are gone. Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's a couple different things. So what Donovan said in the editing room,
Yeah.
But also in the situation, because of this being a franchise and you have all these other rules that kind of have to be followed, I think the producer has a lot more influence too. And Donovan, correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, on set when the director's directing, a lot of it is just about trying to get a performance out.
Yeah, the director is for the actors. But yeah, the producer and the editor are like the final say of. I mean, look at everything that happened with Justice League and the whole Zack Snyder, Joss Whedon debacle, and how like the movie that came out was not the movie that Zack Snyder shot, just because everything that was done in editing. And so it's so funny how episode 5 feels so good. Because
did that crappy producer or editor that's over the shoulder like take a vacation then? Like, are they not watching their own stuff that they're giving us? It's just such an inconsistent.
So let's talk about episode 5.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I agree that it's hands down better, but something still felt a little bit off to me about it too. The character didn't feel the same.
It was very abrupt tonal shift. From the end of episode 4 to the beginning of episode 5, where Mando comes in and starts slicing people in half, and you're like, whoa, like what is happening? Because before in Mandalorian, it was very Akira Kurosawa like art, like
that's what
strike, back up, strike, back up. This is like, no, he comes in and just totally rips people in half like Darth Vader in Rogue One. It was my daughter was like, well, that was violent. Like, that was pretty hardcore. But reintroducing him back into like it's such an abrupt tonal shift that then splits off from everything else that's been established. I thought the episode was great as an episode of The Mandalorian.
Yes.
As an episode of Boba Fett, I think this is the worst episode of Boba Fett.
I still had a lot of issues with the episode, though.
No. And I can understand that. I rolled my eyes so hard.
When the ship was introduced?
When the freaking Anakin's ship.
I knew you did. I could hear you rolling your eyes from here.
Before they even pull off the covering, I'm like, no, please, no. Please, no.
There's the incestuous nature that you always talk about.
You could. Here's an opportunity for merchandising.
But what would you rather have? Would you have colorful speeder bike cyberpunk kids, or would you rather have that? You got to choose one, okay?
A new ship.
Yes, a new ship. The Razor Crest was awesome. The Lego set was like, it's a collector's item now because it's no longer a thing. You have an opportunity to create a whole new iconic thing. And what do? Anakin Skywalker's freaking starfighter.
Well, they just realized that Grogu's going to look awesome in R2's gunner or like seat behind him. That's going to look cool, though.
You're right.
He's going to look awesome in that thing. His little ears are going to be sticking out with a little bubble. It's going to be awesome.
Have a Mandalorian helmet with his ears sticking out?
Yeah, he's going to have chainmail.
It's chainmail.
Yeah, I know.
What they made. Oh. And now he's not a Mandalorian anymore, so he's not going to get any like customized armor or anything. So the little chainmail is going to be his.
Well, his side quest is now changed to he's got to go take a bath underground or something in some caves.
In the mines in Mandalore or whatever.
That's fine.
You know, as much as I like the episode, I did not need a 20-minute montage of them putting the ship back together.
That was a little excessive.
What a waste of screen time. My God.
I think it's trying to appeal to
us,
the prequel fans.
We're using grinders.
To gearheads? Is that what they call them? Not atypical geek guys or girls, whatever, who would find interest in something like this. But then when you bring in the aspect of like sprucing up the car and the fact that it had the hood.
Yeah,
that was a little much.
Like an air cleaner.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you got Monster Garage on
the supercharged Naboo fighter. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a custom build. So I was just, and it had the script along the casing of his seat, and I was just like, I rolled my eyes so hard at that.
Might as well just say like Dodge.
What about BD or the BD droid popping up? No, nothing. Didn't do anything for you. Did you ever play Fallen Order?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is that what it's from?
It did nothing for you to see that character. I thought it was cool.
Didn't. Well, because I
was like cheering
I was too
when I saw
distracted
him.
by everything else to realize like the connection to everything.
Yeah.
Sorry, my eyes were in the back of my head at the time.
Well, and of course, when he's flying the ship, he flies through the same path that the pod race
he
took.
did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Beggars
It's funny how
Canyon, call
iconic
out.
those structures are that you recognize them.
Mm-hmm.
I know, which is funny because like you also get those in the beginning of Rebel Alliance because that's your training is going through those canyons too, and you're just.
And what are the chances he runs into the same X-wing like patrolman in a different star system? Like, come on. And he doesn't like he saw him, right? They looked out the window and saw him
face to face.
And he's like, I don't know. It's like this. He's like, well, your voice sounds familiar. Like he's basically covering his eyes because it's like, are you not looking out your left window to see him? Like, your voice sounds familiar. I don't know. Like, how many shiny Mandalorian guys do you run across? Probably not that many.
I just love how in this, Wild West version of space, they have like very strict DMV laws still.
Yeah. I didn't get that.
Where's your tags? Oh, let me go get my tags. It's not registered yet. Oh, the engine doesn't match this other part. I'm like, really? They're matching serial numbers?
Let me ask you a serious question. I had a problem with this episode. Probably the biggest problem I had with this episode. So when Mando beheads the creature, the bounty, right? He's bringing him in cold, right?
Yeah, the dog person.
He beheads him and carries his head around in a sack that's dripping with blood. Why is it dripping with blood when 10 seconds before that sequence, you just saw that the blade cauterizes flesh? Uh-huh. And we knew this from all of Star Wars. It always does that. Even there were some sequences where they would like help a wound, stop bleeding because they would use a lightsaber to like cauterize it. That's a function of the weapon. And they just showed it 10 seconds ago. Why is blood coming out of his head? Doesn't make sense.
So it's one of two things. One, it's either an oversight.
For dramatic tension and like goriness.
Well, yeah, and the other is for dramatic effect. That the producer or the person who put their stamp on this stuff said, oh, you know what?
You need some
Make
blood,
it drip.
yo. Yeah.
Because it's funny.
It just bugged the crap out of me.
Is that it's not a practical effect. Because if you look at the rag or whatever, it doesn't bleed into it. It just drips off of it.
Yeah.
So like totally CG. So something is of an afterthought.
It's a little weird.
Sean brought this up, and one of my issues with this episode, but I think Boba Fett in general, is the fact that it's like they introduce things and then immediately just kind of drop it.
Yes.
Like Wes, you were talking about the Wookiee. Wow, super cool Wookiee. What's gonna happen? Just drop it. Like
that's one of the coolest designs I've ever seen.
He looked menacing. He looked awesome. I'm like, ooh, these huts look stupid, but he looks cool. Then they show the sequence. He almost gets his butt handed to him by a bunch of teenagers that don't know what they're doing. Okay, and then finally, when they do capture him, they put him in the little handcuffs, and they have the whole sequence about with the Hutts coming back out and apologizing, blah 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 blah, and they release him, and he scampers away like an injured puppy or something. Like the entire sequence before, he's like super lumbering, slow, like menacing walking and stuff, like as the people were attacking him, and he does a pretty good job of fending them off. But then at the end, they're like cut his binds, and he's like meow, 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 like running off into the distance. Like, why did Boba not offer a job to him? Clearly,
I thought they were foreshadowing that he was going to work for him.
He'd rather hire like street punks than a guy that's like a known gladiatorial combatant. I don't know. It's just weird. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, but like even with the episode 5, like Mando finds a Culvin.
Yes.
And it's like, hey, there's 3 of us left. Let's rebuild. It's like, oh, okay, here's a thing. Like, something's going to happen. Did you take your helmet off? Yes. Okay, you're not a Mandalorian anymore. And it just drops.
It negated the entire scene.
What? Why? What? Why? I was interested going down this path, and you're like, nope, we're just going to go back here. Nope, we're just going to go back here. Nope, we're just going to go.
And it was also a weird time to put a focus on the Darksaber. At least that's my opinion, because I think that should be in his series in kind of
where it picked up from.
Yeah.
So that's the thing I'm wondering is like where Mandalorian season 3 starts. They can't assume that you've watched Boba Fett, right? So how is that going to start where it makes sense to where they're going to start at? You know,
they're going to recycle the episode.
This almost feels like episode 1.
That's what I'm saying.
Of season 3.
That's what I said earlier. It's the premiere they pulled. Yeah.
Yeah, Fennec Shaw thing in the end.
Yep.
To then inject it into this.
Yep.
Is what it feels like.
Yep.
I looked it up. There's going to be 8 episodes.
8 episodes?
So we're on episode 5. Yep. So February 9th is going to be the season finale.
So what Jedi is going to teach him how to wield the Darksaber? Is it going to be Luke?
I think it's going to be Ahsoka. Because that's going to be a bridge into her series.
I don't know. I just know that like the next episode we're gonna have to see.
You're gonna pick up Grogu. And he's gonna be doing some Jedi stuff.
I know, deep fake Luke Skywalker again.
Well, they have potential of having him look good this time because they actually have the deep faker working for him.
Yeah, that's right. They hired him on.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm not opposed to seeing Luke actually do some cool Luke stuff.
Mm-hmm.
If they do a good job, and it's. I liked the other episode where he was in it. I thought that was extremely well done. I'd rather have that than speeder bike nerds. I mean, and like the mods didn't even make sense. The one guy had like an extending like foot or something like that. It looked like an Inspector Gadget like knockoff. Where he's like, and they're like, just all the attacks are just bad, and just I don't understand any of that stuff. I guess I'm the wrong demographic to appreciate it or something. I don't know.
We're 3 fans
talking
about a show
Yeah.
and being critical of it.
Yeah.
But I don't think we're being unfair on any front here. I don't understand how the filmmakers should be doing this and writing this and think, okay, this is all great.
Yeah.
I mean, it's happened in other instances too. I don't understand the process of how it gets to this point. And like I said, the only thing I could come up with is somebody messed with it. Because it seems like every time that we see this and the changes or the end result seems to be so bad that after the fact we found out like a year later that this wasn't what it was. Somebody came in and messed with it.
There's an invisible hand, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's not like
an exec.
Yeah. It's not like Ghostbusters where we can just be like, oh, Ghostbusters 3 just didn't happen and we can continue on the story. This is canon now. All of this is canon now.
It should be fired from a canon.
Yeah. I loved episode 5. I can't say that I love the Book of Boba Fett. I'm gonna watch the rest of it. Like, it's not like I'm it's not like I'm gonna like give up on it and be like, no, I'm not.
No.
Like, I'm still gonna watch the rest of it because I'm really intrigued to see like where they take all this.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to like it. I want to like it so bad.
I was interested enough to start it, yeah. And like I was telling some other folks on Facebook group that I had to endure the middle seasons of Smallville and like all the witchcraft crap. It was like so bad just to pull out nuggets of cool Superman stuff in there.
Well, that's what happens when you try to stretch something out over a longer timeline that it was ever really meant to be.
Yeah. So I'm willing to put up with some crap to find some nuggets of coolness in there. But it's not like I'm not going to complain about it if it's awful. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. And so didn't you guys get a feeling like Danny Trejo did some weird stuff with that Rancor too? Like he had like one, there's like one phrase or one look he did where it made me like, think like you're doing some naughty stuff with some creatures.
It was it was a little bit. I don't want to use the word that all the kids use, but I guess cringe. Yeah.
Cringe. Yeah. Cringe.
Yeah.
I got a vibe like Lando and the droid vibe for a second, where they insinuated that he had like funny
the
business.
whole pansexual conversation that had come up after that. Yeah, Lando's anything goes.
Yeah.
So his role, because I went back and we showed my son the scene from Return of the Jedi where Luke comes down and fights the Rancor and whatnot. And when the Rancor dies, there's the
crying
big
guy.
tubby, the big tubby guy that comes in and like cries.
Yeah.
So is that the same position or whatever with the new Rancor? Is that what I'm supposed
It's
to?
just a handler.
The handler.
That's what I gathered. Yeah.
Okay.
You know, I have no issue with Danny Trejo being part of a character in this universe. I'm not sure that's the one he should have been.
Feels like a wasted part.
Rancor.
I mean,
fluffer,
put a machete in his hand and let him be a badass character like he should be.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to do a follow-up once everything is said and done, and see if it kind of salvages the last couple episodes.
3 weeks from tonight, we could talk about our retrospective on the Book of Boba Fett.
And if you're listening to this and you disagree with us, please tell us. Let us know.
Let us know.
Yeah,
we'll get you.
If you want to let us know
and,
individually, you can find Wes not on his website.
Nope.
No. You can find him on all those socials at Geeksmithing. Sean, you can find at Geek Builders, and myself, you could find at Once Upon a Workbench. Not that I'm trying to like throw the end credits out here, but it seemed like a good segue to that.
It was a great segue. And speaking of segues, thanks to the generous contributions from our Patreon members, we were able to afford segues for each of us. No, I wish that was true. Including our top patrons. We thank you so much for your support.
Are we going to talk about what we're geeking out about?
We can. I mean, I was geeking out about episode 5.
Episode 5.
That's pretty much.
We'll just leave that for our geeking out. Okay, yeah. I'm good with that.
I mean, was there anything else? I mean, there's not really any other movies, or is there any trailers or anything?
We can save it for next week.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're already kind of on this path, so might as well walk down it.
Exactly.
And we have a website, if you did not know, at makinggeeks.com. You could get a hold of, you could go to the contact page on the site, and if you have any suggestions for the show, you could leave them there, especially for topics, any other feedback, and also on the homepage of the site, you could listen to all of our past episodes in your favorite browser of choice. They're on makinggeeks.com.
And something we have kind of failed to mention recently is that every Thursday night at, I got to transpose this into different time zones, 5 p.m. Pacific?
6
p.m. Okay, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. We go live to do all of this recording. So if you want to come hang out with us, go over to the Making Geeks podcast YouTube channel. Subscribe if you already haven't. And then Thursday evenings, come and hang out with us because it is fun having people in the chat to contribute to the conversations, to ask questions, to help us kind of direct the conversations that we have on a week-to-week basis. So come check us out on Thursday nights.
I also want to add in another small little bit tonight, and that is, we get a fairly good showing of the episodes we released, and we see that we have a lot of people listening to them, but we only hear from a very small number of you. So don't be afraid to, stop into our live stream and say hi, or send us messages and let us know what you like about the show or other things that you like to hear. We'd like to hear from all of you, and even more so on whatever podcast player you're using. If you could leave us a review of some sort, that would also help the visibility of the show right there. And you can find new episodes of the show every Saturday morning-ish on your favorite podcast player of choice. So from all of us to all of you, have a great week.
See ya.
See you next time.
I'll ride this out like a bantha.
Wizard.
Wizard. Oh, God.
My wife is like, that's going to be the new thing, isn't it? That's the new meme right there. Wizard.
It is already. Oh.
Wizard.
Wizard.
Let Anakin die.